Welcome everyone to the 39th meeting of the Fair Employment and Housing Council. The meeting is being called to order, and to get us started, DFEH Senior Fair Employment and Housing Council Kara Broadfair will perform roll call.
Okay. So Chair Mendelbaum?
Present.
Councilmember Brodsky?
Present.
Councilmember Iglesias?
Present.
Councilmember Ortiz?
Present.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Present.
Councilmember Schur?
Present.
And Director Kish?
Present.
Great. Well, thanks to everyone who's joined us today for our remote meeting. We're being webcast live, and the video will also be available afterwards on the DFEH YouTube channel and website. For those members of the public participating in the proceedings, as of now, you are muted and your video is disabled so that it will allow for a coherent remote meeting. However, as in all of our in-person meetings and our prior remote ones, there'll be regular opportunities for public comment as we tackle the agenda items. There are a number of ways that you can submit your public comment. You can email the council at fehcouncil@dfeh.ca.gov, and we'll be checking that throughout the meeting. You can utilize the Zoom chat feature to send a message directly to the meeting administrator, who can read it as well. Or if you prefer to offer your remarks directly, you can utilize the raise hand function in Zoom, or *9 if you called in, and that will allow you to indicate to the meeting administrator that you'd like to make your comment directly at the appropriate time. So I want to acknowledge Chief Deputy Director of Executive Programs, Adam Romero, who's with us and administrating today. And thanks again for everyone who's attending and participating. We look forward to your remarks as the day unfolds, or the morning, I should say. Our first order of business is to review the agenda for today's meeting, which is available on the council's page of the DFEH website, the same page that the live stream is on. Today's meeting will involve reviewing and consideration of the text of the proposed harassment prevention regulations that have not been modified since our prior meeting and the latest round of public comment. And we'll also receive updates from our various rulemaking and hearing subcommittees. Our first order of business is approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which is attachment A to the materials. Our September 25th meeting included a public hearing on the new proposed housing regulations, a guest speaker presentation on the UNRU Act, revisions to the text of the proposed harassment prevention training regulations that were made in response to the 45-day comment period, and a draft of CIFRA regulations incorporating the new legislation, SB 1383. Any council member comments or edits regarding minutes to the last meeting?
We do have one edit.
Okay.
Under item number 11, where it says Councilmember Sandoval, it should say Councilmember Ortiz. Reported that the subcommittee is making progress on a draft.
You said number 11. Okay. Okay, so we have that edit to make. Any other council members have any edits to the meeting minutes? Any public comment regarding the meeting minutes?
There are no chats, no raised hands.
I can't hear you, Deputy Director Romero. Any comments?
There are no chats.
We seem to have lost your audio, but I'll check chat.
I hear
We hear Adam.
Oh.
Yeah, we hear him.
Oh, weird.
There are no chats, no emails, and no raised hands.
Okay, thank you. I don't know why I couldn't hear you for a moment there. Well, with that, then I will solicit them. I will move to adopt the meeting minutes with the edit Councilmember Sandoval provided, incorporated. Any seconds?
I'll second.
All righty. We'll proceed with a roll call vote.
All right. Chair Mendelbaum?
Aye.
Councilmember Brodsky. I think we lost Dale.
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Councilmember Iglesias, we'll go back there.
Aye.
Councilmember Ortiz.
Aye.
Councilmember Sandoval.
Aye.
And Councilmember Scher.
Aye.
And it looks like Dale's raising her hand, so I'm going to take that as a yes. What do you
Sounds good. In
think?
any event,
Okay.
motion passes, and we'll clarify when she reconnects. But I believe that's an aye as well. Our next order of business is council member reports. Anyone on the council have anything they'd like to report?
One quick thing. So there's an article about that Los Angeles is expecting to have a record increase in numbers of hate crimes and hate incidents this year, 14% over last year, which was also a record last year. So I just, want to encourage council members Brodsky and Ortiz with the follow-up from our hate crime meeting that's I think it's really necessary. So thank you.
Great. Look forward to that subcommittee report shortly. Any other council member reports? All right. Hearing none, we will move along to the report from the Greater Department of Fair Employment and Housing, and I'll turn it over to Deputy Director Romero.
Good morning, everyone. We just wanted
Excuse
to.
me,
Oh,
can you hear me?
now we can. Whoop, we lost you. But I think Councilmember
I'm sorry to
Brodsky.
interrupt. My very
I think Councilmember Brodsky, your connection is short, but I see that you'd like to report that you're going to be attending the Hate Action Committee meeting on October 28th. So that's good that you'll be there, and particularly you're well situated as a member of our subcommittee on that topic. In any event, so sorry, Deputy Director Romero, back to you for a report from the Greater Department.
Sure, 3 updates from the department. First, SB 973, which was enacted in September, authorizes the department to enforce the Equal Pay Act, as well as requires employers of 100 or more employees to report certain pay data to the department starting in March 2021 and then annually thereafter. We wanted to update the council and the public that the department is currently working on building the IT infrastructure to collect these pay data in a secure fashion, as well as we'll be rolling out FAQs, guidance on the pay data collection in the near future. And that will be updated periodically as we receive more questions to answer and provide guidance on. The second update for the council is related to, or actually it's sort of 2 in 1 here, 2 pieces of new educational materials that we want to highlight. First, we launched a set of sort of fact sheets directed at immigrants to explain their civil rights under California's robust civil rights laws, including in the areas of employment, housing, public accommodations, hate violence, and trafficking. Those fact sheets are available on our website at feh.ca.gov/posters, and they are available in 12 different languages, which include Arabic, traditional and simplified Chinese, Hmong, Korean, Mixtec, Punjabi, Spanish, Tagalog, Triqui, and Vietnamese. And then the third update, again, an educational material we are hoping to have out in the near future, would provide guidance on the recently enacted updates to the California Family Rights Act. We hope to have that guidance out in the next week or 2. And that's it from the department. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Our next order of business is the consideration of the unmodified text of the employment regulations regarding harassment prevention training. which is attachment B to the meeting materials. So we only received one additional comment during this latest 15-day comment period, and the comment was essentially reiterating the position that a commenter had made in the prior 45-day hearing, which we had already considered and revised in the fashion we felt appropriate during that round of rulemaking. As a consequence, we didn't think that any additional changes needed to be made by the to the draft that the council approved at our last meeting. And as a consequence of that, we are delighted to solicit the council's adoption so that we can move these forward through OAL and finalize them, hopefully to coincide at least approximately with the forward-going requirements of the new harassment prevention law. So I'll turn it over to my colleague. Anything additional, Councilmember Sandoval?
I have nothing to add at this time. Thank you.
Okay, council members, any thoughts on the unmodified draft? Hearing.
Only that it looks really good.
Yeah, agreed.
Agreed.
Great, thank you. Any public comment on the draft?
To remind the public, if you'd like to make public comment, please raise your hand using the icon at the bottom of your screen. There are no raised hands at the moment. I will come back. No chats and no emails.
Okay, well, with that, I would solicit a motion to adopt the unmodified text and authorize the department to submit it to the Office of Administrative Law for approval, and also authorize the department to make any non-substantive or non-substantial changes to the regulations required by OAL in order to approve the regulations.
This is Dara, so move.
Second.
Great. I think we got one comment, but just in the nature of gratitude, which maybe someone could read, which is nice to see, and then we can move forward with the vote.
Sure, this email or chat is from Mark Murray, CTA. CTA wanted to thank the council for including a minimum number of hours for volunteers to have to serve the required training. This makes it easier for us to recruit volunteers for one-time events.
So I think we have a movement in Councilmember Scher. Do we have a second?
I second.
All right. Let's proceed with our vote.
Chair Mendelbaum,
Aye.
Councilmember Brodsky,
Aye.
Councilmember Iglesias,
Aye.
Councilmember Ortiz,
Aye.
Councilmember Sandoval,
Aye.
Councilmember Scher.
Aye.
All right. The motion passes unanimously. We will now move along to an update from the Government Code 11135 Subcommittee, and so I'll turn it over to Council Members Brodsky and Scher.
Hello. This report is very brief. Essentially, the draft regulations are still under review by the reviewing agencies, and we hope to report more at a future meeting.
All righty. Well, we will look for further updates at the next meeting. Any public comment on the subcommittee report?
No chat. No raised hands. And no email.
All right, we'll move along to an update from our Housing Regulations Subcommittee regarding the latest draft of housing regulations that just went through the 45-day comment period. So I'll turn it back over to Councilmember Scher and also Councilmember Iglesias.
Go ahead, Dara.
We are in the process of developing revised regulations in response to the comments received during the 45-day comment period. We anticipate those will be out for a new 15-day comment period, I think by the end of next week. Correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, and hope to have them heard at the November 9 FEHC meeting.
Well, so Councilmember Sure, well, I think probably you'll have to introduce them to the rest of the council at that October or that November 9th meeting.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And then once we approve them, then they'll go back to the 15.
You think I'd have this procedure down by now? You're right. No, I'm sorry. They will be available as a they will be available to the public along with the agenda for the November 9th meeting, and then they will get moved hopefully into another 50-day comment period. I jumped the gun a little bit. Thank you.
Any council member comments about the housing regulations? Any public comment?
No raised hands, no chats, no email.
All right, we'll move right along to a update from the Criminal History and Employment Hearing Subcommittee. I'll turn it over to my colleague on the subcommittee, Councilmember Sandoval.
Thank you, Councilmember. We're making good progress. We have the civil rights hearing less than a month away on November 17th. We've decided to expand the day, commencing at 9:30 a.m. For the first session, which will be focused on the Fair Chance Act, its need, promise, challenge, and opportunities. And then we'll have a second session that will focus on the state of research, securing employment after incarceration. And then the day will conclude with expert testimony with regard to the current landscape, examining what's working, what's not working, and identifying unmet needs and opportunities for change. And that will go through 3 o'clock or so. We are planning to also disseminate information and flyers so that we could get as many stakeholders involved as possible in the civil rights hearing. And so we're making some great progress, and I'm really excited about this opportunity. Thank you.
Agreed. I think this is going to be a really informative event, and hopefully we'll have some concrete takeaways afterwards. Any council member comments regarding the hearing planning?
Yes, please go ahead. It's great. So thank you very much.
Any public comment?
No public comment in any of the 3 channels.
All right, we'll move right along to the update from the Criminal History and Work Opportunity Tax Credit Subcommittee. So I'll turn it over to Council Members Ortiz and Sandoval.
Great. It is a brief update. We are still working on the draft, and we should have something out by the end of this year. Thank you.
All right, our next, well, actually, sorry, any council member comments regarding the brief update? Any public comment?
No public comment.
All right, our next agenda item is an update from the Accommodation of Associational Disability Subcommittee, and I'll turn it over to my colleague on that subcommittee, Councilmember Brodsky.
This is also a very brief report. We expect to have a proposal for how to study this issue further, ready for presentation to the council at our next meeting. Thanks.
Exactly. It will not be a draft of regulations. It will be a call for conversation and feedback. As Dale mentioned, it'll be a good jumping off point to study this issue further. Any council member comments? Any public comment?
No public comment.
All right. Our next item is an update from our hate violence hearing subcommittee. So I'll turn it over to council members Ortiz and Brodsky.
Joe, do you want to?
Certainly, I don't mind, but there's really not much. This will be a short report like the others. We have not had an opportunity to meet separate from the council meeting, so we're still in progress. We should have more to report at the next meeting.
Any public comment?
No public comment.
All right, well, that concludes our subcommittee updates. We have on our agenda a opportunity to discuss whether additional subcommittees are warranted at this time. None jump out at me, but I'll turn it over to my colleagues on the council and also at the DFEH. Is there any subcommittees that we think need to be formed at this time?
Where did we leave the UNRU, the subcommittee on looking into the UNRU Act and regs for that?
We don't have a subcommittee right now. We do have sort of a request when there's bandwidth at the department to do some research on the landscape of case law, I believe, addressing kind of what are justified, essentially a comprehensive look at the topic presented in some of the cases.
Make sense to put together a subcommittee to kind of start that research and see what they can come up with. There's without a need for DFEH involvement.
So this is Dara. I thought we were also looking at algorithms as a component of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was a separate kind of request, I believe, and part of the reason why we declined last time to form that because there was a stack of assignments for us and the DFEH. So I don't think those are the same, although they would both be part of a future kind of examination of UNRU potentially, although it depends on where the algorithms are used, I suppose.
It might make sense to start researching it, you know. I mean, not that for a subcommittee to take that on as a, you know, it's not a task that's going to need an outcome in 2 weeks or whenever, but.
You mean to look at the UNRU more holistically or the discrete issue raised by the presenters?
No, UNRU more holistically.
So this is Dara.
And including, I mean, it may include that, but to do some research and look at where, you know, regulations might be needed, where there's some gaps in interpretations, looking at case law, that kind of thing.
This is Dara. My only concern about that is we know from the housing regs that if we try and tackle the entire statute at once, it may be too much. And I'm a little worried about Bagley-Keene if some subcommittee starts looking at the whole thing, and then we can't assign other members to look at parts of it. So the department may be able to clarify that, but that was the problem we ran into with the housing regs, where the original committee bit off more than was feasible, and we had to, it was very difficult to try and staff the subcommittees following that. So I would welcome the department's input on that. I agree we need to move towards addressing a lot of UNRU issues. What I'm not sure of is whether we want to, given our experiences with several sets of regs, whether we want to tackle the whole thing at once. And if we do, does that preclude any other subcommittee from forming, or is it limited to the 2 people who start looking at it? Maybe someone in the department could address that.
Sure. So I think it is a great idea to have potentially a research subcommittee who could report back to the overall council about, as Councilmember Brodsky said, any gaps in interpretation or conflicts in case law or things that could be clarified through regulation. That hesitation that I would have as we sit here today is just everything that is already on the agenda through the rest of the year and into the early new year, keeping in mind that 3 council members' terms are expiring on December 31st. So I think it's up to you all as a body to vote on whether you want to form a subcommittee. I think the bandwidth to actually do anything before the end of this year is probably limited, but you're in a better position to know your own bandwidth than I am. I can say that our departmental bandwidth before the end of the year, especially with the implementation of the pay reporting bill, is going to be quite limited. But up to you whether you want to form a research subcommittee. I'm interested to see where we are on January 1st, including with the terms.
Which slots are terming out?
Council members Sandoval, Ortiz, and Mandelbaum are terming out on December 31st.
And are they, is it possible for them to be reappointed, or are they termed out completely?
There are no term limits on the council, so it will be up to the governor's office and the choices of the individual members.
Thank you.
So,
I guess hearing that, I guess I would like to, I think we should wait until at least next year, early next year.
okay, well, we're planning to have this as a standing agenda item to give ourselves the opportunity at each meeting to form them if we want. So we can re-examine that in each subsequent meeting and form one at the time that seems like it makes the most sense. Any public comment regarding subcommittees?
I just wanted to remind the council members that on the issue of algorithms, we are planning to work with the council to hold a civil rights hearing on this topic after the department completes a literature review looking at the first quarter of 2021. So just to remind you that that's going to be happening and will be a launching point for at least that specific topic, if not broader topics. No public comment.
All right. So we've completed our planned agenda items. Our final item is a final public comment opportunity. If anyone would like to make a comment, and I think I see one, on a topic of a participant's choosing, now is the opportunity to ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes. I see one written, and certainly anyone else, if you'd like to, please email or utilize the raise hand function now if you'd like to provide any final remarks.
Should we, the comment that has come in on chat is from Noah Lebowitz. Should we hear from him if he would like to?
Sure, I don't know if he has a raised hand or just wanted to submit it by
looks
chat.
more like a question.
Yeah.
I have unmuted Mr. Lebowitz, if you'd like to address the council.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I know.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm not sure if all my audio is working correctly. It was just a quick question for the representatives from the department who were on the conference about the new authority under SB 973 and the enforcement aspect of it. I heard comment about the pay data aspect of 973, but not the enforcement. So that was just my question, whether or not there would be the department engaging in any rulemaking or for administrative regulations related to its enforcement activities.
Potentially, yes. Looking at the statute is quite detailed in what we are supposed to collect. We anticipate that there may be some administrative regulations a little bit down the line. Our first priority is to issue FAQs. We're getting a lot of questions, and also a request for offers from vendors to work with us in developing the secure online portal where people will be able to submit their pay data. We're aiming to have all of this, all of our vendors on board by December 1st, which is a very aggressive and ambitious timeline, and have the collecting aspect of the project finished well in advance of the March 31st deadline. In terms of enforcement, we'll be making changes to our internal system to be able to accept and track Equal Pay Act complaints. And then in terms of using the collected data, we'll be engaged in kind of an ongoing process of seeing whether we think that regulations are necessary to actually use that data, or if we'll just collect it and use it.
Okay, if I can follow up, I'm more focused on the aspect of the bill that authorizes the department to receive, investigate, conciliate, mediate, and prosecute complaints under 1197.5. So I see that kind of as a separate, obviously it's related to the data collection, but kind of as a separate new power or authority, so to speak, for the department. So I was focusing more specifically on that aspect of the new 973.
Well, we are making changes again to our internal system to accept and track those complaints. I'm not sure as I sit here whether we would need to make changes to our regulations. I can think of a couple issues, including potential tolling of statute of limitations issues that are going to be slightly different than under the Fair Employment and Housing Act. As of right now, we're expecting to accept complaints on January 1st and process them through our regular system. But certainly, if you have ideas of kind of enforcement duties or powers that would require regulation, feel free to reach out to us directly.
Okay. Thank you.
I believe there's one more chat, and I'm not sure if that was wanted to be presented just solely via chat or an intro for a direct comment, but I'll let you facilitate that, Deputy Director Romero.
Miss Jody Dayberry is unmuted.
Hi there, this is Jody Dayberry. I'm a liaison with CTA, and I just had a quick question. The harassment prevention training that goes into effect January 1st, 2021, has that been posted somewhere where public can access that and share with employers?
Do you mean the law, the regulations, or the trainings themselves?
Yeah, actually both. What the trainings are and the law itself. Is that,
So,
I saw the changed text, but is there a final out there somewhere that I can access?
yeah, the DFEH website has, first of all, 2 great trainings. My office as an employer in my private practice utilize them for the 1-hour training and the 2-hour supervisor training directly on the DFEH website.
Okay.
And then the website also has a link to laws and regulations that has the text of the law. And these regulations are not finalized until they go through the Office of Administrative Law, but then they'll be posted as well as completed regulations on the website.
Thank you very much.
And I just want to clarify that the change in the law requires more employees in California to be trained. The law does not require anyone to take any specific training, although it sets out requirements that the training has to meet. The law did require us to produce a training that people can use, which we have done. And as Chair Mandelbaum mentioned, it's on the website, but it is not a legal requirement that people take our training, although it's available to the public.
Thank you for the clarification.
Any other public comment?
No further public comment.
All right, well, that concludes today's proceedings. Thanks to my colleagues on the council and at the department, and to those who joined us remotely. We hope you make plans to join us for our next meeting on November 9th, and also our hearing on November 17th on the use of criminal history and employment decisions. So thanks again, and that wraps up today's proceeding.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.